is, of course, the Logos. And the Logos was not a biblical word. It was a word that Bible scholars later used. It was a Greek word. And the word Logos really has 5 expressions. Logos, ladies and gentlemen, means idea. Logos means concept. Logos, ladies and gentlemen, means thought. Logos means reason. And the one that we're most familiar with, Logos, means word. When we deal with such words like theology, theology is composed of those 2 words. Theos, which means God, and logia, which means speech or spoken word. So theology is actually God speaking about God. The only way you can know him, he has to tell you. Now, in the beginning was the Word. In the beginning was the thought that God had for you. In the beginning was God's reason why you have to go through what you're in right now. In the beginning, God had a concept for the end. In the beginning, God himself had an idea. And in the beginning, God said, let there be. Do you really realize that you and Adam were created on the same day? But for what God wanted to happen with him, he sent him before you and left you in heaven with him until the time should come. It is here, brothers and sisters. You were in heaven. You did not start in hell. You were in heaven. That's why you get so discouraged when you fail, because man was not made for failure, and there's nothing in us that can get adjusted to failing. We were made to succeed. We were made to be blessed, and we were to succeed to help somebody else come to know who they are. Glory to God. It is here, ladies and gentlemen, that God, brothers, that God has set in place to the men. Now, he says, listen, man, I want you, man, to know who you are. Man, you've got to know who you are, because you are the crux of this thing. Would you preach for me and slap somebody and say, man, know who you are. You are vital to the body. God brought you here today to know who you are. Listen, man, there are people who are dying today. You're going to the hospital, carrying them a book, and going to the hospital carrying a sad face and watching them die, because some of you don't know you were born to be a vessel of healing. If you would have just put down the book, stop trying to call your bishop, and you, man, lay your hands on them, the sick shall recover. You have to know who you are. Oh, every now and then somebody has to tell you. In the church in Youngstown, we have seen miracles happen. The most recent one, there was a woman in our church, the wife of our deacon, that had a heart attack and died in the church. Died right there, eyes set. The saints and my wife started working CPR on her. I was on the pulpit and they hollered to me. It was the sound of death. I jumped off the pulpit and ran. Incidentally, we were on television. This is all on television. The woman there was set and dead. The medical team went to her and had no pulse. They worked and worked and worked, and she still didn't come back. Needless to say, I told them, get 911, get the ambulance here. And no one could revive her. 5 minutes went on. We're waiting on the ambulance to come. You see, in some ghetto cities, takes them a little while to get there. You better know something about prayer. While she was lying there on the pew, everybody looking at her, I was down in my robe, and God said to me, Norman, what are you doing here? I said, Lord, I'm here trying to pray and trying to help her. He said, let them do the CPR, and you do what you do best. I knew what that meant. Get back up there and go to praising me, worshiping me, exalting me, stirring up the people to believe in me. I jumped back on the pulpit, and I said, I need 7 strong believers. They ran to the altar. I said, no, not you. I don't want the folk who believe God can. I want the folk who know God will. When we got to 7, I began to station people, and they began to pray. And I told 2 men, you get over there, and it's your job to war in the heavens. Don't let a devil get in here while we're working this spiritual operation. You stand there and shield against the invasion of a demonic force. And here, ladies and gentlemen, I told the other saints, we have practiced worshiping, raising our hands, walking through the aisle. I told them that's been the dry run all these years. It's time for the real thing. We started worshiping and started praying. And the head nurse who runs a surgical suite in the city, I said, her name's Angela. Angela, do we have a pulse yet? Remember, they kept the television cameras running the whole time. Do we have a pulse yet? Because in Calvary, you know something's getting ready to happen. Do we have a pulse yet? She said, no, sir. I said, kick it to a higher praise. Let's go to a higher praise. Some devils will not move with sha-ya-ya-ya-ya-ya-ya. That devil's heard that for 20 years. You got to change it. Hey, glory to heaven. Your tongue's got to change because the devil knows that tongue. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I said, kick it to a higher praise. They began to go to a higher praise. I said, it's not happening yet. I said, we need some people to make God feel welcome. Start kissing the Son. I remember that chapter in the Acts, rather in Psalms 2. And it said they kissed the Son. They worshiped him with their kiss. I dare you men in here now, just throw God a kiss.